We're going to bring in Riccardo Dugulin now. He's the senior analyst and head of the Europe desk at the risk management company Drum Cusack. He joins me now from Brussels. From what you have seen so far and heard so far coming out of Germany, what do you make of this?
Well, so far the confirmed information are quite limited on the subject. What is extremely important to see is that it could be a complex attack carried out by more than one gunman. And the situation is ongoing. As you have just seen, the railway station was evacuated. This could be a precautionary measure, but also it could be a more complex attack that involves operations outside of the mall. And so this will raise questions in the future concerning the degree of coordination that took place before the attack and the planning that was necessary for the gunman or the multiple gunmen that took place in the incident. Yeah.
And just give us the context here. If this is another terrorist attack, just give us the context of the security situation in Germany over the last weeks or so.
Yeah, well, we have seen in Germany since the beginning of 2016, several terrorist plots have been disrupted by the German police. Also, the German police has been cooperating with the French and Belgian police forces to disrupt Islamic State plots in the country and in the regions in Western Europe. There are networks that are active in Western and Southern Germany, and these networks are in coordination with Belgian and French networks as well. What we have seen last week and during the last week is an increase of activity with the attack in the train and potentially this attack in the mall. So this will raise question on whether these networks that are present in Germany are more support networks or are actually planning to carry out lone wolves or complex attacks in the country.
Okay, just to update you, we're hearing from the AFP news agency that a police source they've been talking to believes 6 people have been killed and that there are 3 armed assailants involved in the shooting. The number of assailants has been reported also by witnesses. That number of 6 people being killed is only being reported by the AFP news agency at the moment. We also know that the German rail operator is evacuating the Munich rail station. This appears to be expanding possibly in scope. Riccardo, what would that indicate to you?
Well, this would point toward the possibility of it being a coordinated attack. This would raise the question on whether the attack was planned, on how it was planned, on how the perpetrators managed to acquire the weapons, who sold it to them, who were they in contact with. These are the questions that are going to be raised in the coming hours. And the answers to these questions will certainly determine the level of complexity of these attacks and the nature of the network behind the organization. This is what analysts, either in public intelligence services or in private companies, will be looking at to understand the threat level that is present and is evolving nowadays in southern Germany, throughout the country and throughout Western Europe. Yeah.
So the attack earlier in the week was claimed by Daesh, but others suspect that it may have been a lone wolf attack. What exactly is the German position with regards to Daesh? How much are they contributing to the fight against that group?
Well, I think the first point that is important to make is that when an attack like this takes place, Daesh will take responsibility for propaganda reasons, but also the ideology of Daesh is spreading. So even if behind the attack there is not a clear connection between the perpetrator and Middle East cells, the ideology may still be pushing people to commit lone wolf attacks. As for the Germans have been cooperating with European and NATO forces in the theater of operations in the Middle East, and as well there is a very strong anti-terrorist force within the country in Germany and cooperating with the other European countries.
Okay.
As such, yeah.
Well, just to update you, coming out of the Reuters news agency now, the Munich police say they do suspect it is a terrorist attack.
Yeah, so now it's going to get interesting to see if and how or if and when Daesh claims responsibility for the attack, and to then understand what kind of network was placed behind the person who perpetrated the shooting in the mall. And especially it's going to be interesting to see if they managed to capture alive a certain number of people who were involved in the attack, because that was the missing link in the Nice attack, for example, in France in the middle of the month. And the detention of live suspects could be essential as an intelligence gathering tool and a tool to prevent further violence in the short to medium term. Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to bring back Surev Roy now. Surev, you know Munich very well. We know that the train station has been evacuated. Now, this is a busy time on a Friday evening.
That's right, and I'm reading on Der Spiegel, the German media outlet, that the central train station, the Hauptbahnhof, has been evacuated, and it has been completely shut from all sides. And not only that, trams as well as buses and other public transport and mass rapid transport systems have also been stopped completely. The area has been cordoned off. German newspaper Bayer Abendzeitung, which is an English evening, reports that people inside the mall are hearing shots from multiple directions, which indicates that there are multiple attackers within the mall. People from inside the mall have also told German local radio station that they have seen many bodies and many people injured inside. When it comes to a mall and a structure like a mall like that, German newspapers and the media is reporting that evacuation is still happening and is possible because the structures of mall is such that it has multiple layers, and the attackers are not able to cover all the layers, and therefore the police have chance to trickle out people from a couple of layers or a couple of levels of the mall. The other thing that the police would also try to do is to see that all access to the mall from the stairs, which is from the back end of the mall, is still open, so that if there is a need of an operation to storm into the mall, they can do it from the back end.
Okay, Sheriff, thank you. We're going to just sum up now what we know at this point. Around 6 p.m. local time, Munich police began evacuating the Olympia shopping centre. Authorities say several people have been killed and others have been injured. The Bavarian Interior Minister says, being quoted on TV, that 3 people have died. Police say they are hunting for more than one gunman. Witnesses have said perhaps 3 armed people are in that shopping centre. The German rail operator says they have evacuated the city's main train station, and all other public transport has also been shut down. Let's bring back in Riccardo Dugulin now, a senior analyst and head of the Europe desk at the risk management company Drum Cusack. Joins us from Brussels. So, Riccardo, we have heard that the police suspect this is a terror attack. Just give us an idea of which aspects of this attack make them believe that.
I think what we are seeing now with the intelligence we are receiving is that it's shaping up to be a major and complex incident that has taken place in Munich, and maybe it's still taking place. From a law enforcement point of view, I think reports that concern multiple shooters that have left the facility of the initial attack and may be planning either to escape, to regroup, or to conduct additional attacks and hit other points in the city. These are definitely points that are raising questions concerning the complexity of the operation and of the way that it was planned before it was carried out. So what we see is that it was not a mass shooting on the similar level as in the United States, for example. This was maybe more of a planned operation by one or a group of people that were trained to do that, yeah.
And we know that earlier in the week, an individual attacked several people in Bavaria, and the German Interior Minister, as a result, told Germans to expect more terror attacks in the country. It seems his predictions have actually come to pass?
Yeah, the whole of Western Europe is definitely under elevated terrorist threat, and countries such as France, Germany, and Belgium are among the top-tier targets for terrorists. And we have seen attacks in France and Belgium already. This in Munich would be the first major attack that Germany experiences in the recent history since the rise of the Islamic State. So this will be something that will be analyzed in the coming days, but it's definitely something that points toward the high level of the threat in the country and the potential presence of networks that are able to plan and think of this attack, plan these attacks and carry them out in a successful manner for them, of course, yeah.
We know that Daesh claimed the attack earlier in the week, and that investigators say they're not sure that Daesh was behind it and that it could have been a lone wolf and that Daesh simply is claiming it. What is it about Germany and its contribution to the fight against Daesh that could make the country a target?
Well, I think from a Daesh point of view, what is important is to be able to hit multiple countries in the shortest amount of time. This creates a clear propaganda victory. Germany is a NATO member. It has American troops stationed in the country. It is a main driver of the European policy, counter-terrorist policy. It is participating in anti-terrorist operations in the Middle East. And it has a very vast community of refugees who arrive from the Middle East. And Daesh is clearly adopting a strategy in which it tries to break apart European societies and create tensions between Muslims and non-Muslims. We have seen in Nice a rise of anti-Muslim incidents after the attack, even if more than half of the victims of the Nice attack were Muslims. So this is something that is definitely within the strategy of Daesh, and that could play in the targeting procedure of the terrorist group in Western Europe, and in this case, precisely in Germany.
Okay, I just want to bring in Surev Roy now. Surev, you know Munich very well. We're looking at live pictures coming out of there now, obviously very heavily armed.
Okay, standing by.
Very heavily armed law enforcement and military figures surrounding the shopping centre now, as you'd expect. Just tell us a little bit about this shopping centre.
Well, it's a huge shopping centre. It's the Olympia Einkaufszentrum, which is one of the biggest shopping centres in the town, and it has a lot of space around it. It's spacious, and it's not one of those shopping centres which is among a cluster of other shopping centres. So for people who are in this area, I would imagine even for the police to carry out evacuation and to carry out rescue operations would be much easier than in a typical area where there are tons of other shopping centres as well. Now, as far as the central station is concerned, the Hauptbahnhof is concerned, the police say that they have stopped all kinds of trains, all kinds of transport coming into Munich, whether that's the bus, whether that's the tram, whether that's the train, because they do not want anything or any evidence to be going in or out of Munich. They want to completely cordon off the area. And as we speak, the Prime Minister Horst Seehofer and the Interior Minister Joachim Herrmann are also having a top-level security meeting to figure out what needs to be done in the next couple of hours and how Munich should respond. Despite all this trauma and despite the terror, people in Munich have responded to this with an open heart, and the police are also asking people to open their doors, and social media is now buzzing with the hashtag offene Tür, which means open your doors to people who are trying to find a safe place. And the police is encouraging people to open their doors to any survivor, any victims, or anybody who wants to seek any help right now, considering the fact that Munich is one of the best tourist places or tourist locations of Germany.
And we can see the live pictures there from Munich. We're getting more information from the city. Police have closed off a very wide area around the shopping centre, according to the police spokesman. And the Bavarian broadcaster BR says 6 people have been killed and many have been injured in the shootings in that shopping centre. We haven't obviously got official confirmation for ourselves, but that is what the German public broadcaster is reporting. And as we said earlier, witnesses are telling the police, and the police are reporting this on their Facebook page, that there's possibly 3 gunmen in that shopping centre. None of them have been captured or killed yet. And we know that in addition to a number of people being killed, of course, many people have been injured. Well, we're going to go back now to Riccardo Dugulin, the security analyst who's in Brussels for us. So we know, Riccardo, that a number of people have been killed, multiple gunmen, it's being reported by witnesses. The police have said that they suspect it is a terror attack, one that started in the McDonald's restaurant in the shopping centre at around about 6 p.m. local time. Police are telling people to stay in their home, and the German rail authority has told people to leave the Munich train station. This is quite a large operation. It appears to be getting wider. Just explain to us the aspects of this attack that would lead the German police to suspect it is in fact a terrorist attack and not just a criminal offence.
So I think from the police point of view, there are multiple points that tend to show that it's a terrorist attack. So the target chosen is clearly symbolic. We see one or multiple gunmen opening fire on a McDonald's restaurant in a shopping mall with the clear intent of leading to mass casualties. Then the potential escape of one or multiple gunmen. This is also showing intent of either regrouping or continuing the attack. So the response of the police comes in the midst of an elevated terrorist threat in the country, and the response has so far been in accordance to the level of the threat. We see a wide cordon around the mall, we see the closure of the train station, and we see the disruption of public transportation. This is things that didn't happen in Brussels right away after the attacks, and the critique for the government here in Belgium were quite heavy after the attacks, and the German police, as other Western European police, certainly are getting the response right after the attacks that occurred earlier in 2016.